Hey everybody, Johnny Cage here, welcoming you back to another game review. This time we're taking a look at Cadence of Hyrule, developed by Brace Yourself Games and published by Nintendo, released June 13th, 2019 on the Nintendo Switch. Cadence of Hyrule combines the rhythm-based game of Brace Yourself's previous title, Crypt of the Necrodancer, with the characters, setting, and music from the Legend of Zelda series. While Nintendo has worked with larger third-party studios in the past, such as Ubisoft with their Mario Rabbids Battle Kingdom crossover title, this is a rare occasion where Nintendo has offered up one of its most prized licenses to a small independent developer. Booting up a new game will prompt you with an almost overwhelming amount of options if this is your first time playing. You do have a basic story mode though, which is where any new player should start. You have single player mode, which only lets you play as one of the characters from the game's cast, or dungeon mode, which removes the overworld in favor of a dungeon crawling experience. There are also daily challenges if that's your jam. And if all this feels like a bit much to start, don't worry about it, as you can adjust most of the options throughout the game anyways. Hitting start will give you your choice to begin the game as either Link or Zelda, with Link beginning in his home similar to Link to the Past, while Zelda begins in Hyrule Castle. The choice isn't very significant as you'll unlock characters as you progress, so just go with your favorite for now. Once you gain control and make your way outside, you'll have a chance to get familiar with the rhythmic nature of the gameplay, moving when the two bars at the bottom of the screen come together, but getting off rhythm will cause you to miss a beat and lose an action, so be careful with your timing, though the game is pretty lenient about it. Do your best to get comfortable with how things work, as well as picking up the starting items which should be nearby, and activate the Sheikah Slate, which acts as a save point and also brings you back to full health. You will also be able to teleport to those eventually, so make sure to light up everyone you come across. Encountering your first screen of enemies will really drive home how important a good feel for the rhythm mechanic can be, as even if you do miss a beat, the baddies sure won't, and one too many mistakes can lead to some unfortunate deaths. Luckily, the game isn't very punishing for dying. In fact, it can be very rewarding actually, with you being sent to a void world where you can use diamonds, which you receive for clearing screens of enemies, or can occasionally be found in chests to purchase equipment and even heart pieces. Just keep in mind that equipment outside of your weapon and shield have durability, and by using it, which happens automatically, or taking damage, it will decrease. Though there are plenty of every sort to pick up along the way, so don't be too concerned. But maybe things just aren't working out for you and you're having a really tough time figuring out this whole rhythm mechanic, which I would totally understand. It can be pretty daunting, especially if you aren't experienced with that genre of game. Good thing the designers were nice enough to let us turn off that fixed speed option even once you've started the game, which is the way I prefer to play anyways. This turns the gameplay into more of a chess match, with each enemy only moving when you do, giving you more of a chance to be strategic and likely not die as often. I will admit it does make the game quite a bit easier, and once you have played through it once or have a good grasp of how everything works, I do encourage others to try the rhythm mode again, as it is the way the game was intended to be played. With the start of things out of the way and the experience of slaying enemies under our belt, it's time to figure out what exactly we are supposed to be doing here. Popping open the map will give you a look at what you've uncovered so far, with little icons on spaces you have visited, indicating what might still be left there to be discovered, whether it be regular treasure, the purple key item treasures, some of which you will need to complete the game, or mini-bosses, amongst other landmarks and items of interest. Not only that, but the map is completely random every time you start up a new game, with the option of inputting your own random seed if you would like. Though not all aspects of the map are completely random. For instance, Lake Hylia will always be next to Hyrule Castle somewhere in the middle of the map, Kakariko Village is always one square away from the outermost portion of the map, and this shop on the beach will always have a bottle for sale. There are probably other things that are consistent on any playthrough, but these are some of the more obvious ones I've found that can be really helpful to know. In fact, it isn't too hard to get a bit confused on exactly where you want to go next, but when it comes down to it, there are really only a few major steps to beating this game. First off, you're going to want to find Kakariko Village and wake up your slumbering companion, whether it be Link or Zelda, whom has been put to sleep by our antagonist, Octavio, and his golden lute. Once we retrieve them, you can use the Sheikah Slates to switch your characters on top of its normal functions, and you might want to give that a try as they do play a bit differently from one another, with Link being able to perform his spin attack, while Zelda has a fireball of sorts and can shield herself with a magic barrier instead of Link's traditional shield. Down the road, you will also unlock Cadence, who seems to have earthbending powers, able to raise spikes from the ground, damaging enemies in an area. Just be aware that performing these unique powers will also consume your stamina gauge in the top left. Now is a great chance for you to just explore the map fully, picking up as many of those key purple items as possible, which can usually be found in either bombable walls or down staircases hidden under bushes that will have blue butterflies on top of them. There are a bunch of these to pick up along the way, and with the exception of a few necessities, most of them will just make things a little bit easier for you in certain situations. A couple of my favorites being the Cane of Samaria, which just like in Link to the Past will create a block which will help you get across single tile gaps, and the Treasure Charm, which will reveal chests and heart pieces yet to be discovered on the world map, even for spots you haven't been to yet. And if you happen to get stuck along the way, you can always stop in at one of these witches' huts and have your fortune told for a small fee, which will mark on your map where you should go next. Once you feel prepared, it's time to take the fight to Octavio and his 4 champions spread out across the world and retrieve our own magical instruments to enter Hyrule Castle. On Death Mountain, you'll face off against the electrifying Glockenspiel. On Lake Hylia, you will encounter the icy Wiz-Robo, discover the Gomarakas lurking about in the Lost Woods, and finally the fiery bass guitarmos knights in the Gerudo Ruins. After each of the 4 champions is defeated, you will receive a magical instrument which we will use to take on the dastardly Octavio, but that doesn't quite feel like a true final boss for a Zelda game now, does it? Well, of course not. It wouldn't be Zelda without Ganon appearing in some form or another, and here we get treated to a properly difficult final battle with his pig form. After a hard-fought battle, which will include each of the 3 companions you have picked up along the way, we will wrap everything up with our new friend Cadence returning back to her own world, and peace once again being restored to the land of Hyrule, at least for now. The controls in the game are quite simple, which is appreciated even more when you're playing with the rhythm mode on. You move your character about the screen with the D-pad or analog stick if you prefer, automatically attacking any enemy in your range by pressing the direction they are in. You can also assign the 4 face buttons any of the key or consumable items you have uncovered. The L button will perform your character's unique attack, while R will use their version of a shield. Graphically, the game goes for a stylized 16-bit look with vibrant colors and a great deal of animations that make it a joy to play. Makes sense that they went with this look as the game seems to borrow most from Link to the Past, but with very much its own design, featuring a silky smooth frame rate that runs perfectly even when playing in handheld mode. So let's talk about this game's soundtrack, cause man, it's gotta be one of the best I have heard in many years. It does of course already have the advantage of being music from the Zelda titles, but composer Danny Baranowski really put his all into remixing those tracks, delivering over 20 songs that keep you hooked throughout. Even if you don't have the means to play this game, I highly recommend you check out the OST for this on YouTube. It is nothing short of phenomenal. You can pick up Cadence of Hyrule on the Switch for $25 American with a file size of 1.7 gigabytes, though I have seen this go on sale fairly often, and there is a free demo available through Nintendo's eShop as well. Nintendo definitely made the right move when it took a chance on a small developer and let it run wild with one of its most widely recognized IPs. Honestly, it would have been enough to just have random seeds for the map when it comes to the replayability here, but Brace Yourself really went the extra mile and several more by including tons of options to deepen the overall experience game after game, some of which I haven't even touched on, such as the co-op mode. And the design team isn't done with this one either, introducing Octavio as a playable character in December 2019 as free DLC, and a triple pack of paid content in 2020, including more playable characters, additional music tracks, and a brand new adventure, Symphony of the Mask, starring fan favorite Skull Kid from Majora's Mask. There aren't many games on the Switch that I would consider to be must-buys. Most people have to be picky about the games they can afford to buy, and some genres just aren't going to be your cup of tea. But I have no reservation saying that this is something that every Switch owner should experience, and I wouldn't even consider myself anywhere close to being a Zelda fanboy. It's just one of those games that hits its mark so well you can't help but let it leave an impact on you. I'm going to go ahead and give Cadence of Hyrule a well-deserved 10 beat bounces out of 10. I would say this is one of the 5 best Switch exclusives on the console, and one that you can come back to time and time again, always providing a fulfilling adventure. Thank you everyone for watching, and if you would like to stay posted on new game reviews as I upload them, please click the subscribe button, as well as checking out the link in the description below for my Twitch channel where I stream most days. I'll talk to you all later on.